that's why I have these little extra things to make it so that I can still have what I need as I need it.
Yeah.
This is why she calls me a Boy Scout.
Yeah, because she has everything that you need. I guess I gave you this idea to have like wet wipes in your bag, but now she has wet wipes
Yes.
in her bag. She has.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Behind the Booth. I'm Jade, and with me, as always, is my co host and producer, Heather.
And on this channel, we talk about wild stories from Comic Con vendors because Jade has her own booth. If you haven't heard us talk about it a million times, Tokyo Dog Designs, look at all that nonsense behind her. That is the kind of stuff that we sell at the booth, and it's beautiful and it's super colorful. So come find us and talk to us. Please, we would love to meet you. But today we're actually going to talk about airplane travel because we have a lot of like tips. Jade's been doing this a lot. I've only
Yeah.
gone actually on a plane ride with her once, and I'm like, gee whiz, this freaking Boy Scout over here has everything you could possibly need. So this is, like your comprehensive. Let's figure out what we need to be like to make sure that you have safe plane travel and have everything that you need. So start us off.
So, when it comes to plane travel, it is really convenient in some ways and a pain in the ass in the others. And what I like about air travel is that I don't have to concentrate on driving. I know a lot of vendors that have a lot of stuff, they tend to drive and they'll be on the road for a week or half a week or whatever. And that's just not something that I like to do. And I also shouldn't be driving at night because I have night blindness, but don't tell the police officers that. So when it comes to air travel, one of the first things that I did is I got TSA pre-checked. And what that is you go in, actually a lot of times where they have like probation offices will have TSA pre-check options. And
Oh,
you go in, you've taken your birth certificate, your social security card, and ID and things like that. And they basically confirm who you are and they submit it. And it's $75, which sounds like a lot, but it's good for 5 years.
yeah.
So
So
if you
pretty
break
worth
that up
it.
into 5 years, it's definitely worth it. And on your boarding pass, which are now all basically digital, it'll say TSA pre-check on it. And so the lines are slower. They have an app for the TSA that will tell you at your current or closest airport what the current line is looking like, how busy it is, and if pre-check is closed. It'll also send you updates if you request it to say, hey, we're expecting unusual amounts of traffic, come early. So it's a nice thing to have if you are planning on flying a lot. It was definitely worth every penny to me. I've used it quite a bit. And, some of you know that I have a knee injury. So walking in those zigzag lines back and forth, depending on the airport, can be quite painful. So
Yeah.
that's one of the first things that I recommend when it comes to flights and travel.
And it
The
was
next thing
actually like, because I was gonna sign
that's
up
okay.
for it. I wasn't able to this last time just because I was like, oh yeah, I need money for the actual trip, so I'm not gonna do pre-check. It was actually at Staples, so it was really close to
Mm,
me, like really easy to make an appointment and everything that I had to cancel.
mhm.
But like, and it was so funny because she actually had to check some bags, and she's like, you know what, go ahead and go through the security line. And she had to check bags, and that was a lengthy process. And so by the time I had gotten through the whole security line, she was already through. Like she had
Yeah,
checked the
I beat
bags and
her.
gotten through TSA pre-check. I was like, I'm gonna have to like wait for her or find her or something. And she's just like, Heather. I'm like, oh my gosh, there she is. So it was
Well, and what I
really
liked about
cool.
pre-check, the main thing is that you don't tend to have to take off your shoes. You can leave your laptops and chargers and things in your bag. And sometimes you take off your jacket, sometimes you don't, but you don't have to take off any of your like smartwatches or any of that kind of stuff, because they already kind of
Cuts down
know
on your
that.
time.
Yeah, it cuts down. So that's why I was able to meet her so fast. And they still pulled my bag because in my bag I have things that look like food. And if you have a lot of organic material in your bag, you almost always get pulled. And a lot of the things in my bag is actually my clothes are made out of bamboo, most of them, because it's a soft texture and it doesn't make me itch, but it comes up on the X-ray machine as organic because it fucking is. So I get pulled a lot, but even after them pulling my bag and going through it, I still beat her through
The
basically the
security.
DIA, the Denver one. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really cool.
And then another time saving thing I do is I have all of the boarding passes through the apps, and a lot of airlines, like United and Delta especially, you can buy your bags through the app and you can do all of your like, this is how heavy it is, this is how tall it is, and it will calculate everything for you. You put your credit card on the app, and then you hit check my bags. And you can do it like 15 minutes before you get on your flight, or an hour before, or even a day before. That's usually what I do. And some of you know from our other episodes that I keep a scale, one of those little scales you can wrap around the loop of the baggage itself and weigh it. So I know how heavy it is and I know what to stay under. And basically, instead of getting in the line to check your bags and print off the little strip that you
that you
attach
have
to your
to,
bag,
it's
instead
like
of doing any
tape.
of that, yeah, what is it called? A flight
It's
tag?
like a tape. I just did the I just did the
Yeah,
little
it does
motion, the
this.
tape.
For those of you that are listening, we're kind of doing like a slow mermaid shape with our hands. Um, so with that, you can just basically walk to the counter and they'll have people ready to go that you've already basically you planned ahead of time. And you just walk up, you show them your boarding pass, your ID, they scan it, put the little tape on for you, and then they send you on your way. It's really, really fast.
Yeah.
So these time-saving things that I do is not just because it's effective and really efficient. It's that I don't have to get to the airport and spend more time at the airport than I absolutely have to. And when you travel as much as I do, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of time that you're. Somebody calculated what it was like to commute from Denver to Fort Collins and how many hours of their life they spent commuting when they were going to school in Denver. And it's like that. You have to commute, basically to and from the airport, in the airport to the event. So calculating how many hours you're spending traveling, as much as you can condense down, the better.
Yeah. Well, and all the stressful stuff too, like getting through
Yeah.
security, getting your bags checked, like you want to make sure like it's really good to have all that stuff pre-done so that once you get there, you're just like, okay, I am good to go. Just got to get to my gate. And because that's always the stressful thing like, oh my gosh, I've seen so many TikToks where people are like, I have to check to make sure that my gate still exists. Okay, I'll go get food. I'm going to come back and make sure that my gate still exists. Okay, and now I can go to the bathroom. Like it's a stressful thing. So the less
It
that
is.
you can put on yourself to like make sure that all that stuff is happening before ahead of time is the better. Like just take that off your plate.
Yeah, and if you travel out of the same airport a lot, so we travel out of DIA, so Denver International, and usually the airlines kind of are in the same place. So I travel with a certain airline a lot, and that's almost always Concourse B. And so I kind of know what's around Concourse B. There's little maps that will show you. They have little QR codes that you can scan within the airport that tells you where things are. But one of the things I like about using, again, I'm going to talk about the apps a lot. The flight apps is that if your gate changes, they send you a text message and tell you that your gate has changed, and it's also like a pop up at the top of your phone that says, "Hey, your gate has been moved."
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice. And then they'll also send you. I signed up for the text messages to know if the flight's delayed, and I take screenshots of all of my stuff with my flight number and everything, and I send that. I text that to my husband and any family members. Actually, I did it with Heather when we first got our booking. I was like, screenshot, send it to Heather so that way she could just forward it to her husband and her
Yeah.
family. Instead of being like, okay, what's my flight number? Flight number U6701. Wait, did the flight number change? Because that changes too. And so
Yeah.
being able to do the screenshots is super, super helpful for your family to know. And it will tell you your ETA. One thing I didn't get used to is that it would tell me when we land, but when you book it online, it tells you a different time frame because they calculate in the time change. And so,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, so I got on a flight from here to Portland, and somehow I was getting there and landing at the same time. And I was like, what the shit? Like, is there something wrong with my flight? Is there something wrong? Because I thought maybe there's an error in the system
Right.
and it had calculated in the time change. So it was like, I'm like, there's no way I'm flying there in 5 minutes. What is
Right.
happening?
Like, wait,
So,
what are we doing? Is this some
yeah.
type of new technology?
Mhm. But it's really nice that a lot of the airports, either where you're sitting, they have little USB plugs, or they have those little machines, little kiosks where you can plug in your phone and charge it really, really fast. Most airlines, and it depends on how old the flight or like the plane is, they'll have little places to plug in your USB to charge your stuff. They do tell you if you're in an exit row to not use it during like takeoff and landing, which I think is fair because you don't want to trip over the cords.
Yeah.
Um, but those were the kinds of things that I take with me that are easy access. I also have a little external battery that plugs directly into my phone. So I don't need any cords or anything like that. I use that a lot at the conventions, especially on Saturdays when I'm there all day. Um, but just in case the plane doesn't have that, when you're using your phone for TSA and for, getting on the flight and then for hiring a lift, your phone battery dies real fast, really, really fast.
Yeah.
And so, that's why I have these little extra things to make it so that I can still have what I need as I need it.
Yeah.
This is why she calls me a Boy Scout.
Yeah, because she has everything that you need. I guess I gave you this idea to have like wet wipes in your bag, but now she has wet
Yes.
wipes in her bag. She has those chargers. She has everything that you could possibly need. You have your like pillow thing that you sleep on. Talk about that. That thing is
Yeah.
so cool.
So this is something that I purchased for myself. I've tried a lot of those different like pillows that you can either blow up or it's like a tortoise shell and it's like wrapped in stuff and it like holds your head and the little like U-shaped neck pillow and none of that really worked for me, but I found one that was for Japanese commuters that I thought was interesting. And it's shaped almost like the letter D with a hole on either side that you can put your arms through. And then it has a hole in the top for your head, like if you're getting massage or something like that, or if you're getting adjusted.
Hmm.
It
So you can
has
still
that little
breathe.
thing. Yes, breathing's important.
Yeah.
And it rolls up really, really tight, like the size of maybe a burrito. At least that's how tight I can get that to roll up. And then you unroll it and you blow it up.
It
And
takes
it
her
takes
maybe
probably
like a minute. It doesn't take you
maybe.
long at all. Yeah.
And I mean, I'm out of shape. So like for me to go, if you're healthy and you don't smoke, I mean, it's not that I smoke, but if you're healthy and you have good lung capacity and you're not a smoker, you can probably get it blown up pretty fast.
Yeah.
And so once it's blown up, I can either put it on my knees and cuddle it, and I just lean forward, kind of like that position that they teach you when you're going to have your plane crash, anyways. I can do that one, or I can lower the tray table if it's a different shape plane because they're all kind of different.
Yeah.
And I can lean that on the tray table and just fall asleep. And I have basically a sleeping mask that it came with, and I put my arms through it, and I put my phone actually in my hands as my arms are through it so I can like look through here and text message and stuff if I want to. I'm sure people think I'm watching porn or something like all hidden, but whatever.
We're
Um
like, hopefully not, but
yeah, hopefully not, right? Not on a public place, but whatever. You do you, boo. And I have my headphones in, and so I'll just listen to music or I'll have a TV show on and I fall asleep. And I sleep through a lot. Like I'm not a terribly heavy sleeper. And Heather can attest to that when things have like fallen down in our room and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, what is it? Unless there's really bad turbulence, it kind of like rocks you to sleep because it's air.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that thing, it's really, really fun. And I typically wear hoodies and things like that when I travel. So I pull the hoodie up as well. And it kind of like helps shield my face. And unless there's something important, the flight attendants don't wake you up.
Yeah.
And I try to sit on the outside row, mostly because of my knee. And that's one of the nice things when I book my trips. I make sure that I can choose my seat. And being able to choose my seat's really, really nice as well. When you travel in duos like we did, that was really helpful to be able to put us together.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, leave it to a
Um,
mom to think wet wipes because I never thought of that and I kept getting sticky shit all over my hands. I'd touch a tray table or I'd spill my soda or it's like what is it like traveling with a 3-year-old, right, Heather?
yeah, a little bit. But at least you sleep. 3-year-olds don't sleep.
I do. Yeah, I
Um,
sleep in the flight.
right. But there's something actually that I've been seeing a lot lately that I think I might get for you actually. It's a little like tag that you have and you can say wake me up for a drink, but if I want to like you can wake me up for this, but please don't wake me up for this. There's like
Uh-huh.
a little, so you can just like put it on your head or on the pillow or something. So if you do want a drink, if you do want somebody to like tell you that they're passing out the drinks, they will wake you up. Or you can say,
I
"Don't wake me up for nothing,"
yeah,
unless the plane's going
like
down.
eternally
Um,
fuck off. I'm tired. Like,
right.
yeah. Yeah. But as far as like travel stuff, you'll figure out what you really want, what you really need. I know that in my carry-on bag, so you have your carry-on and then you have like your personal item is what they call them.
Yeah.
My personal item bag is like a little backpack. And when I say little, it's not small at all. It's actually the size of a giant fucking brick. But in there, I always have my medication, a single change of clothes, and then anything I can't replace. So,
Yeah.
like my ID, my passport, things like that. Because sometimes they make you check your bag, especially if you're in group 3 or 4, boarding group 3 or 4. If they have a full flight, they'll start checking bags right there at the gate. Now, the nice thing is they don't charge you for that.
Yeah.
But if you have important shit in there, so I have like a toothbrush and emergency comb and contact lens solution and things like that. Because I have had flights canceled, delay, whatever, and I only have what's in my bag.
Yeah.
So especially people that have to take medication at certain times, that's really critical. And I have to take my medication usually with milk or yogurt or something like that, and I can't always get that. So I also have powdered milk in that bag. So even on the flight, if I have to take something and they don't have milk, because a lot of times they don't, I just ask for water and I can like shake it up really fast, and it looks a little like suspicious when I'm on there. I'm like, I'm not building a bomb. I'm just making powdered milk.
You just
Um,
need milk.
I just need milk. So, but you will figure out your own blend of what you need and what you have to have. And if you're lucky and
Right.
you travel with somebody like Heather, she'll let you put a bunch of shit in her bag too.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, like she said, you'll figure out what you need. One thing that I do recommend, that, I haven't been on a plane a whole lot, but um, I guess like in the last like 10 years, I think I've been on a plane more in the last year than in the last 10. Which is great. I love it. I love to travel. But don't wear like shorts because you're touching a lot of things, like your legs are touching seats, you're brushing up against people. Like, wear pants because you're gonna want to not have just stuff all over you. Like, I don't know why. I'm not a particularly picky person when it comes to, cleanliness or whatever, but that skeeves me out. And especially like, because I know as a kid I did travel in shorts because you're a kid, like you do what you want.
Yeah.
But like, and if you're sitting next to somebody and their bare knee touches your bare knee and you're like, oh no, I don't like that. Like, there's just, it's something I would recommend. It's obviously not for everybody, but just keeping yourself covered. Like you said, you wear a hoodie. Like, I feel like having
Mhm.
something to kind of cut your skin off from the rest of everything
Yeah.
that's happening is a little bit of a barrier is good.
Yeah, any barrier you can get. And sometimes people will spill out of their seats into your seat. And so you make accommodations for that. FYI, if you're on the window or the aisle, the armrest in the middle is not for you. Just that's like general knowledge, but a lot of people can't figure that one out.
Hmm.
The center seat gets both armrests. Now, if
Yeah.
they don't want them, great. But whenever I sit down next to somebody, I'm like, hey, just, use the armrest for as much as you need. If I'm on it, just, poke me, let me know, and I'll scoot back over. But with that like pillow that I have, it doesn't really allow me to get on other people's sides. I will say this though, I was on a flight where the turbulence is really bad and I was really tired. And there's a guy sitting next to me who's a bodybuilder. And he of course was in the center seat. And I offered to switch him. And he's like, no, I prefer the center seat. I'm like, okay, you do you, boo. And the turbulence is really bad. And it had bounced me in this pillow thing onto him. And I woke up like this. I'm trying to get the mask off my face. And he's like supporting me up because when I was talking turbulence, everything was fine. And then we dropped really hard, which is
Oof.
again, a reason to keep your seatbelt on at all times. But
Yeah.
I literally bounced onto him and I was like, I am so sorry. Because I grabbed him too, because I was like, what the
Yeah.
fuck is going on? Like, are
Yeah.
we dying? And again, I was in a dead sleep. And he's just like, no, it's okay. He's like, my wife has a hard time, sleeping, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, but I like cat clawed him, like, when a cat tries to
Yeah.
like get out of a tub, like that's what I did to this poor guy. And so I stayed up for the rest of the flight because that was a bit jarring. But
Yeah.
yeah, when you have the air loaded things, it is kind of like having a trampoline, like you will bounce. So that can
Right.
be nice when it rocks you to sleep. But if it's a big drop like that, like people spilled shit, laptops were lost, like someone's cell phone went to the back of the plane. Like it was a big thing. So I
Right.
wouldn't recommend clawing the bodybuilder next to you, but at least he was a nice guy. So
Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay, on our flight back from Florida,
yeah.
because there was a guy sitting next to me on the window.
Mhm.
He weirded me out. Like, I was like trying to sleep because I was so tired, but I kept feeling like his fingers, like he was kind of like you're on my seat kind of thing, but he wasn't saying anything to me. I just kept feeling his hand like do that, and I'm like, what the crap? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, I'm not on your seat. Will you calm the crap down? And then later he falls asleep and his legs are like in my area. I'm like, excuse me. But I was so tired. I did not want to have any confrontation, but I like running through my brain. I'm just like, bitch, like you just, oh man, you touch me one more time. Like,
I wish you told me. I would have handled it. I would have been
it's
like,
fine.
okay, so, sir,
Like
sir.
there was a moment where I was like, okay, one more thing. I'm gonna freaking I was tired and I was grumpy and I was ready to
You
punch
were
this
grumpy.
man.
That's
I
true.
was
You were
so
grumpy.
grumpy. Well, I don't even know if you knew this, but I was starting to get sick. I
Yeah,
got sick from Florida and
I'm so
like so I
sorry.
was it's okay. I mean, it's not your fault, but it just like I was so grumpy and I'm like, you touch me one more fucking time. And I'm not a confrontational person. I'm not
You
aggressive
really
or
aren't.
anything, but I was
You would
just like
rather suffer than have confrontation. It's
I was
true.
ready to throat punch this dude. Like I was so like don't you fucking touch me again. It was really but like
So
don't be like me because
I
that was
guess
not a good response.
what we should really pass on with this is don't touch other people on flights unless
Especially
you want to
Heather.
get throat punched. Yeah. So I think that's really what the message of this particular podcast is.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go, kids. Here's how to travel on a plane. Oh
Well,
my
thank you
goodness.
so much to Nerdy Old Podcast for sponsoring this video, and we'll see you next time.